Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Glen Carlson, and look, 5 years ago I started testing this hypothesis that I'd be able to make more money playing my strengths than it cost me to delegate all of my weaknesses. In my mind, it was this entrepreneur's bet, because if I was going to be stuck doing all this stuff that I hated in my business, that I wasn't very good at doing, well then what was the point in the first place? So in this video, I want to be talking about some of the things that I did, and they might help you make the same entrepreneurial bet and start delegating some of that stuff that you just suck at a little bit faster. Let's do it. So I didn't start my business to grind and to do all this stuff that I didn't like. I started it as like a vehicle for freedom and adventure and autonomy and creating wealth and, doing all those kind of things, making a difference and having an impact. I have said all of the cliches that I want to be more strategic. I want to work on, not in my business. I want to work smarter, not harder. So like everybody else, I was drowning in the mundane. I was doing my emails, I was booking my travel, I was organizing sales appointments, and I was handling the marketing, and I was writing emails, and I was getting stuck in like tech and autoresponded. And then when a mate would call me up and say, hey, let's go for a beer, I'd say, well, I have no time. And I was trawling through the internet, as you do when you have no time. A quote from Nike popped up. I think it was from the founder, Phil Knight. I love Nike. Said, you don't lack time, you lack priorities. And this made me think, and it made me inspect, what am I doing with my actual time? When I look at Branson or Oprah, they're super effective with their time. That's why they get so much stuff done. What I did, and this is what I recommend you try, I made this big long list and I categorized it into high value activities and low value activities. High value activities were anything that I really enjoyed doing, like it lit me up, I was excited by it. It was driving value to my business, it was driving value to my clients, it was driving value to my team. And the trick was only having a few. Jim Collins wrote Good to Great, said if you've got more than 3 priorities, you don't have any. And I applied that concept there, which was if I only achieve those 3 things in the next quarter and nothing else, I'd be successful. It's a good question to ask, right? Because it forces you to really prioritize into, if I couldn't get out of bed, if I had some kind of an accident, or if something happened, I could only do 3 things, what would be the 3 things that would still make the business thrive and be successful? That's super powerful, because then anything that's not those 3 things is classed as low value activities and functional. And the whole idea is, how do you elevate and spend more time, focus and creativity on the high value activities, and how do you then delegate everything else? Now, of course, the trick of the entrepreneur's bet is that you can make more money being successful doing just those 3 things really well than it costs you to outsource or delegate everything else. So let me give you an example. Years ago, we used to run big, large scale conferences. Super expensive to run. You essentially need a whole business just running those events. Really, really expensive. And what I realized was the most important thing that I could do as a founder is work out how to move away from having to run those big events to run a successful business. And that's when I went all in Facebook and Facebook video and putting out content like this. And I discovered that the highest value thing that I could do as the founder was share the ideas, the message, the culture, the vision. And I was more effective doing that stuff than I was sending email, managed team meeting, interviewing new team. You can also think of it as vital activities and functional activities. The vital stuff is the unique, essential. It comes from a place of vitality. It's you, the founder, the key person of influence, rocking those high value activities that only you can do. And then how do you work out how to delegate the stuff that other people can do?
What? I delegated. That's what good leaders do.
Because just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. So I put together a little chart, right? Some of the low value stuff, like doing emails, data entry, copywriting, if that's not your thing, web development, posting on social media, trying to get your website to talk to your CRM and all those things you gotta do, as opposed to, if you flip up, creating bigger and better partnerships, improving your pitch, building out better products, just working out how to raise your prices 10, 15, 20% would probably make a huge difference. Building an audience, building trust with your audience, doing kind of stuff like this in your own kind of way. You're gonna have your own. And by the way, I'll link up the link to get that poster, print it out, it'll be in the links below. Print it out, put it on your wall, talk to your team about it, create some accountability around it. Enough of that. Here's the big question. Would you spend $200 a week for an extra 10 hours? If I could just genie it up, and you could have an extra 10 hours a week. Would you do that? Of course you would, right? So add up all the time you're spending on that functional stuff. Use the poster, and I promise you it is more than 10 hours a week. I talk to audiences of people where I ask this question. Half of them are spending more than 10 hours a week in their inbox, responding to emails and stuff like that, because of this weird premise that's come from somewhere that they're the ones that have to be doing it. The reality is it's functional, it's secretarial work. No disrespect to secretaries, but if you're the founder of a business, and if I was on your board of directors and you're deploying your valuable time against that kind of stuff, I'm gonna say that that's an irresponsible deployment of capital. It's a bad idea.
You know what, that just made me feel really cheap.
It's like bringing in a howitzer to freaking carve up a birthday cake at your 6-year-old's party. That was a weird analogy. Sometimes Analogy Man comes through and he's a bit... So here's what you're gonna do. Open up the computer. So you're gonna go to Upwork.com, which is basically like a giant warehouse of highly skilled freelancers from all over the world just waiting to do all the stuff that you suck at. This is not a sponsored. These guys are freaking amazing. Let's go and find a virtual assistant that can help you with like flights and your emails and your inbox and all that kind of stuff, right? And up it's gonna come. And all of a sudden we're gonna put a little filter on here. We're gonna go between $10 and $30, depending on what you're doing. I do not recommend you pick the cheapest possible. That's not why you go here, to try and get it super cheap. The cheaper you go, the worse the outcome is gonna be. You want someone that's earned at least $1,000. I always just pick 90% success rate that's billed more than 100 hours. So let's now scroll down and see what's come up here. For $16.25 an hour, you could work with Sandy, who's earned over $70,000 with 100% job success. And what's cool is that she's from Jamaica. How cool is that? Let's go copywriter. We have an expert writer, blogger, and content developer, 95% job success from the US at $19 an hour. I want you to think about every single one of those low value activities. In my experience, 80 to 90% of all the stuff that was bogging me down, grinding me out, exhausting me, frustrating me, making me question like, should I even be doing this anymore, could be delegated for less than $20 an hour. On Upwork, what can you get for $20 an hour or less? I'll tell you what you can get, liberty. That is what you can get, straight up and down, liberty. And if you think about it from the perspective of, if you delegate an hour's worth of work for $20, here's the entrepreneurial bet coming back through. Can you make more than that $20 in that hour? And if the answer is no, you probably shouldn't be in business in the first place. But if the answer is freaking of course, well then you are straight up insane to not be actively delegating all this stuff. Now I get it, finances, like there's a limited amount that you can put in. You don't necessarily want to go into debt to do that kind of stuff in the early stages, but you start with an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours a week and then build it up slowly over time. So if you want to work on, not in your business, if you want to be strategic, not functional, if you want to be vital and not stuck in those low value activities, I'm going to encourage you to do this. Make a list of your high value activities, your low value activities, jump on Upwork, glass of red wine, crack a beer, open a coffee, doesn't make sense, pour a coffee and spend a couple of hours in this thing just looking at what it's going to cost you to delegate all those things. You're not going to do it all at once, but in month 1, in month 2, in month 3, and what I want to know in the comments below, what are you committing? What is a must for you to get off your table once and for all that you're gonna free yourself from? And then importantly, what are the high value activities that you're gonna be spending more time on instead? Oh, I love this stuff. This was one of the biggest things that freed up my ability to create real value, to accelerate my own entrepreneurial journey. And I really know it's gonna do the same for you. Whether it's Upwork or some other platform, it doesn't matter. But the principles are the same. I hope you've liked this video. I'd love it if you'd make a comment below. I'd also love it if you'd help the algorithm share this with more people, which you can do by subscribing, give me a thumbs up, ring that bell because that lets Google know to let you know the next time that I upload a video. That's all from me. Get vital, get less functional, be brave, have fun. Let's go make a dent in the universe.